Thanks for tuning into the BoshNRoll channel. Liking and subscribing the channel is free and easy, and it helps me out a lot. If you want to go a little farther with your support, I have Patreon and YouTube membership available, which includes access to the BoshNRoll Discord server, early access to things I'm working on, sideboard plans, cards I'm buying. You could have me play your deck on the channel, and the highest tiers come with individual coaching sessions. If you use the YouTube membership option, you get sweet, unique YouTube badges and emotes for the channel. If you want to play what I'm playing, you can use the code BoshNRoll to support my channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com. And if you're playing on Magic Online, a cardhoarder.com loan account can let you play any deck anytime. If you want to wear your support, there is BoshNRoll merch available. All of these links are in the video description below. Thank you so much for watching. Now let's go play some Magic. Welcome back for another exciting BoshNRoll Legacy video. Today, I feel like I have a celebrity guest with me. Nobody's actually with me, but I do have a deck. I'm very excited. This is submitted by Marcus Ewaldh, aka @Truckus123 on Twitter, aka Iwouldliketorespond on Magic Online. I play a lot of Marcus's decks on the channel just because his decks are sweet, and we have a lot of the same sensibilities and styles when it comes to what we like to do. And this deck was submitted by none other than Marcus himself. Normally I just steal his decks off Twitter, but this time he asked me to play this specifically. He has been working on this for many years, but most recently he's really started putting up a bunch of results on a hot run lately. Has a couple of Magic Online Legacy Challenge top 8s, some 5-0 leagues. This deck is in a pretty hot spot right now. And what we're looking at right now is High Tide combo. High Tide is 1 blue instant. Until end of turn, whenever a player taps an island for mana, they get an additional blue. What you're trying to do here is High Tide a couple of times. You can then Turnabout, which you can untap all of your artifacts, creatures, or lands. You're going to choose lands in this deck, of course. And that gets you mana off your High Tides because you get to tap all your islands again. And then you get to cast Time Spiral. This is the money shot. 6 mana, exile Time Spiral. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draw 7 cards. You untap up to 6 lands. So this is a Time Twister that also untaps all your lands when you cast it, which, you guessed it, results in more mana with High Tide. Eventually, you will defeat your opponent with a Cunning Wish for some sort of win condition. The win conditions of choice in this particular build are Brain Freeze out of the sideboard. Target player mills 3 cards with Storm. You should be able to come up with 20 copies of this if you're Time Spiraling. And the other, if you have to skip milling them, if they have like an Emrakul in their sideboard or in their deck or something that makes milling not an option, Blue Sun Zenith, target player draws X. Just make them draw 60 and they die. The cool thing about Blue Sun Zenith is it doubles as card advantage mid combo. If you have a bunch of mana floating and a Cunning Wish, you can Cunning Wish for Blue Sun Zenith, draw a bunch of cards yourself, and then it shuffles into your library because that's what the Zenith cycle does. And then it's in your deck later when you need to find it to kill your opponent. Really sweet deck. The Cunning Wish, the sideboard is half a Cunning Wish board and half a sideboard. You got Snap and Echoing Truth to remove difficult permanents. Brain Freeze and Blue Sun Zenith we talked about as win conditions, and an extra Turnabout. This card's really important mid combo to make sure you can keep tapping your lands. So 1 is in the sideboard to go with the 3 in the main deck already. Then there is both Pact and Force of Negation in the sideboard as 3 ofs. You can wish for these in a pinch, though the Force of Negation is mostly to bring in against prison style decks. If you need to counter a Chalice of the Void or Trinisphere or that kind of thing on turn 1, you bring in your Force of Negations. Pact and Negation is when you got to go fast and punch through like Delver or someone who's going to clock you and disrupt you. And Dress Down. I am so in love with this card. This is kind of my signature card. I don't know if anyone else thinks that, but I certainly feel like a kindred connection to the card Dress Down. All creatures lose all abilities. This is an absolute banger against decks like Death and Taxes that are going to try to control you by playing like Thalia, so your spells cost more, Spirit of the Labyrinth, so you can't draw cards, etc. If you flash in Dress Down in their end step, you won't sacrifice the Dress Down right away because the beginning of the end step has already come and gone and abilities have already triggered. So you get to untap with all of your mana available and Dress Down still in play, and you get a whole turn where none of those creatures matter. That's awesome technology. And the wildest card in this sideboard, Teferi's Realm. 1 blue world enchantment. If you're not familiar with that mechanic, and why would you be? It's stupid. There can only be 1 world enchantment in play at a time. If someone were to play a different world enchantment, this one would die. It's kind of like Plane Chase back from the old days of Magic. I'm glad they got rid of that. Anyway, this is a world enchantment. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player chooses artifact, creature, land, or non-aura enchantment. All non-token permanents of that type phase out. This is also a way to answer a bunch of creatures out of Death and Taxes. It's also a way to beat a deck like Enchantress, LOL, if that actually came up. It's just a cool way to remove all the permanents of one type. And your only permanents in this whole deck are lands, so you just don't choose lands and you'll be okay. Those are the basics. That's the deck. Let's go try this out. I am on the play in round 1. My hand is full of cantrips, which I like. There's no High Tide, no Turnabout, no Time Spiral, but I'm going to take my time, figure this one out. Ponder into Predict is an exciting line that I haven't taken in a long time. Okay, time to ponder. Oh, there's Time Spiral. Dope. I'm going to put Island, Time Spiral, Island on top, and do not shuffle. That puts Time Spiral in my hand next turn, where they can't discard it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What's going on here? Stop it. Red Prison. Trinosphere. Fuck. Well, we're going straight into hard mode, kids. I guess I should have played Prismatic Vista, because I don't want to draw this island. Yeah, let's see how well they can follow this up. If they have, like, anything, we're going to lose. Oh, yeah. That's a thing. For sure. Just wishing for liquid metal coating. Yeah, I'm going to be hard locked immediately. Is there a line? Like, I can Intuition for Cunning Wishes next turn. I lose a land. Then I can Cunning Wish the following turn. I lose another land. And then I can Echoing Truth their thing. Or I could just concede. Alright, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna play to my outs here. I do have enough land drops that I can keep playing them. There's the coding. Float a blue before I lose my land. Intuition. Get 3 Cunning Wish, which is all of them. Urchin Scroll is in my hand now. Okay. It's gonna be really tough to make this happen. I need to draw another land, actually. Cunning Wish. Yes, use the ability. And the answer is Echoing Truth. So if Karn can wish for something more difficult to beat, like if they did draw Ancient Tomb, because the Rashadan Port was enough to make me use my mana, they could just like get Lattice here and end the game. Okay, they have Lattice mana next turn. This is really bad for me. Oh, they even had a third thing. Oh, casting Promox. You got it. Exiling Blood Moon. It's funny, Blood Moon actually would have been good against me there. Okay, I'm in a world of hurt at this point, because they can just wish for Lattice. Yeah, they have me beat here. Yeah, okay. I could bounce Karn, I guess. Yeah, maybe that's the play. But then I'm still losing to Trinosphere, and then at least I'm not literally dead right now, I guess. But that's very little comfort. Yeah, I have to, like, the Trinosphere is the card I'm losing to that needs to be removed from play, but also I'm losing to... I could bounce Karn or Chandra, so I don't literally die to Lattice right now, but then I die to Trinosphere. Okay, I have no place here. I'm dead. This hand needed Force of Will, is what I'm saying. In the sideboard, Force of Negations are coming in. I think we can replace Pact of Negation. My opponent's not going to be doing stuff on my turn, ever, and I'm not really going to have 5 mana to pay for this thing to do anything on their turn. Echoing Truth, Snap, Teferi's Realm, I probably want as well. I can phase out artifacts and lock out their prison. I can even get, if I get this down before Lattice, I can even... Nope, that's not true, because everything will be an artifact, and just phase out all permanents. Never mind. Oh, and Planeswalker's not on here, right? Yeah, alright. Never mind, that doesn't work. What are the cuts here? Oh, Flusterstorm is a very easy cut. You're out of here. And one more card's got to go. It might just be a predict. I think I want intuition. I definitely need the cunning wishes. Merchant Scroll is, I think, better than predict because it just finds the card rather than having to draw to it. Yeah, I think this is what I'm going with. Let's do this thing. I think this matchup's probably a good one, but that was a rough start. The 3-ball on turn 1. Ouch. Force of Will, 2 of them, but no mana sources. I think I have to mulligan this, though it's probably closer than one might think. Yeah, alright. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm gonna mulligan this as well. Okay, finally. Lands and spells. My opponent's also on 5. I'm gonna get rid of Brainstorm. It is the worst of the cantrips that I have in my hand right now. And one of the preordains. I'm gonna preordain first. So I want to ponder second, I guess. This is tough though. I need lands and spells to win this game. Okay. I'm actually gonna top both of these and put Teferi's Realm on top. I'd rather pitch that to force than Ponder or High Tide. Or I could let this resolve and try to Teferi's Realm them a couple turns from now. Oh, this is tricky. All right. Ponder is gonna feed the Force of Will now, and I need to draw land. That one needs to get forced. Force pitching Ponder. Oh, yeah. Did I need to do that? Does that even make sense? I guess I was already in on... Yeah, maybe I didn't need to do that. That gives me Merchant Scroll and Predict. Else on 2. Okay, that one doesn't matter. Land. Fuck. Malls to 5 are rough. Well, okay. There's Force of Will. We're back in business. And they didn't do anything with their 6 mana last turn. They can't Pyroblast me because of their own Chalice. Another High Tide. Someday. I mean, Spirit Guide. Do I need to respect that? No, I don't think so. Yikes. Come on, deck. Take my 2 from the ape. They're going ape over there. They Chalice on 3. This one I do need to counter. I think I Force of Negation. Pitching Preordain. Land? Alright. Jeez. Time to put Teferi's Realm into play. What would you like to phase out? They phased out their own creature. Cool. Sure, that's not the play. I'd like to phase out artifacts, please. Oh. I need to brainstorm first. I'm not there. I need one more land. Okay, I'm there next turn. I'm gonna put... I'm deciding if I want to hold a Time Spiral or a Turnabout in hand to force with, and I think I want to leave the max Time Spirals in the deck. So put back Time Spiral, Turnabout, and then next turn I can Spiral. I bet they're not going to pick Creature this time. They chose enchantments. Goodbye to Teferi's Realm. Okay, we're going to my turn. Phasing out artifacts. This is amazing. Marcus is so fucking smart. Alright. High Tide. High Tide. Turnabout. Target me. Lands. Untap them. Bang, 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 bang. 9 in the pool. Turnabout. Lands. Untap them. I can hardcast the Force, so I'm not really worried here. Don't need to hold back a blue card. We've spiraled. I drew another spiral, so the game continues. Even drew an island. Maybe I'm supposed to hold on to that, but fuck it. Intuition. Is that GG, or is it just good? Bottom, top. It's definitely value, because I can do something in between. This next spiral is definitely happening. I can also brainstorm here. Another spiral, another turnabout. Hell yeah. Okay. Time Spiral's back. Turn myself about. And I can intuition here. Storm is not quite lethal. I'm getting Cunning Wishes, I think. Yeah, I want Cunning Wishes here. I get one of them, I use it, it gets exiled. The other 2 are still in the pool to spiral back into the deck. Use the ability. I think I want Blue Sun Zenith. Let's get going on that. Blue Sun Z. I have 20 mana. I need 6 of it to Time Spiral, which means I can Zenith for 11. Or do I want to go that far? 1, 2, 3. Because I have to leave some mana left over to do stuff with when I draw these cards. I'll leave 9 in the pool. Yeah, that lets me... Oh, if I leave the 6 in the pool, then I can still... Yeah, I can still Turnabout with that. Oh, yeah, okay. I do have Turnabout, and I even get to sneak in a couple extra high tides. High tide, high tide. Turnabout. This is the combo, folks. Here we are. Each island taps for 5 at this point. Ponder. Force of Negation, Force of Will. I actually don't want any of that. Another high tide. I do want that. I'll take those every single time. Preordain. Force Brainstorm. Top. Predict myself, name Force of Will. Draw 2 extra cards here. And it looks like it's time to spiral. Or what's left in my deck? I think I have one more high tide. I do have a high tide. High tide. The tide is so fucking high right now. And I think the 1 mana from this Brainstorm isn't going to make or break me, so I might as well cast it. Okay, just a bunch of lands. Alright, now I'm going to spiral. That spiral actually isn't great, but I do get to see some cards. Okay. Top. Gonna predict naming Force of Will. Another high tide. Okay. High tide. I think I ponder first and then brainstorm. Alright, found Cunning Wish. It doesn't matter. Do not shuffle this. Don't you dare. Brainstorm, because time to juice up this hand to win the game. And turn myself about one more time for good measure. I'm gonna Cunning Wish for the Brain Freeze. I don't think they can answer it. Storm is way more than they got. I'm gonna target myself with one of the Brain Freezes because I have plenty to kill them. And in case they have an Eldrazi or something, I can clear the top cards in my deck from the Brainstorm and keep looking for Blue Sun Zenith. But they got nothing. Teferi's Realm, MVP. Fuck yeah, that was awesome. Going to game 3, I don't think my sideboard plan changes at all. Like, the good cards are in and the bad cards are out, and that's what it's all about. I have Realm, but only 1 land and no Force. I'm gonna mulligan this. Here we go. Force of Negation is a good one. I'm gonna keep this and send one of the islands. They kept 6 this time. Don't like it. Oh, the Chalice. I don't want to respect this, but I think I have to this time. And I think Turnabout is the pitch. They let on City of Traders, which is they're gonna lose that when they develop their board any further. I hope that has long-term implications because the short term is rough here. Wow, didn't even float mana, just put it in the graveyard. They're like, excuse me, Brian, I'm all in. It's kind of weird that I'm like, have to show a little respect for Red Blast, but also it's probably not a card in their Chalice of the Void deck. Ooh. I'll brainstorm here. Oh god, they do have Red Blast. Yeah, they do. Okay, sure, whatever. Successfully baited it. Please just cast, like, Goblin Rabblemaster or something right now. Endure Awaken Inferno. Okay, I don't give a shit about that. That's perfect. I'm gonna spiral. I have exactly enough to spiral here. High tide. Spiral. Off we go. And preordain first. Do I want another high tide? Yes. And it pays for itself. The cost is the card. Looking for a spiral. This good. Do I see more cards if I keep this or if I shuffle it? They keep the preordain on top. Don't shuffle. Preordain. Put Force of Negation on the bottom. Put Brainstorm on top. Cast Brainstorm. Put back 2 islands. I have 3/7 mana. Cast High Tide. High Tide. And cast Merchant Scroll. I can scroll for Turnabout, get all my mana back. I can't quite scroll for Intuition for Time Spiral. I don't have all that. This is a shuffle for these Brainstorms in hand, though. Or Brainstorm and Preordain. I'm going to get the Turnabout and start with Preordain. Let's go. Force of Will to Fairy's Realm, bottom. Cunning Wish, okay. That's good. How much mana do I have? 15. So it's 3 for Cunning Wish, 3 for Intuition, 6 for Spiral. I'm good. I can do it. I can even brainstorm in between. Okay, I'll brainstorm first, see if I just find it naturally. Force of Will backup's nice. Cunning Wish. Oh wait, Cunning Wish. This isn't Merchant Scroll, it's Cunning Wish. Alright. What's in the sideboard? I almost just like went straight in. Storm is 14. 14 times 3 is 42. They have 47 cards in their deck. Okay, I can do this. Alright, Cunning Wish. Yes, use the ability. I'm gonna get Turnabout, turn myself about, Cunning Wish, and then mill them. Storm will be... The Turnabout makes 14, the Cunning Wish makes 15, the Brain Freeze makes 16. 16 times 3 is 48, and they have 47 cards in their deck. Okay. Alright, I'll turn myself about. Cunning Wish, Brain Freeze, and let's put your brain on ice. Hope you didn't board in an Eldrazi. They have no cards in their deck. Go. For what it's worth, I could have built 2 more Storm there by hardcasting Force on my Cunning Wish and then hardcasting Force on Force. I had plenty of mana to do that if I needed to mill 6 more cards. So it looks like I got them for Xaxes, but I could have gone deeper. That was sick. Teferi's Realm MVP. On to the next round. I am on the play in round number 2. I'm going to keep this hand. It is missing a High Tide, but it has the Spiral, a bunch of cantrips, Force of Will, just in case. I can go for Preordain, or I can Ponder, set up Predict. Just play the long game already. The problem with Preordaining is if I force, I probably have to lose my Ponder, and I won't necessarily know what's on top with Predict. I'm going to set up a long game here. Okay, Brainstorm, Merchant Scroll, Island. I actually think Brainstorm is the card I want the least of all of these. So Brainstorm, Island, Scroll, stack it like that. My top card next turn will be Brainstorm when I cast Predict. Playing against a Flooded Strand deck. Tropical Island, Ponder, you got it. The cool thing about this line is it also pretends I'm blue-white control for a little while. I'm going to Predict on their turn. If they want to fight over that, whatever. They can't All Breacher or Narset this turn. They did not shuffle their library for their Ponder. Predict myself in the end step. Resolved immediately. Turn the Brainstorm that could see 3 cards into 3 actual cards, straight up. Preordain? Merchant Scroll can get High Tide. Maybe I should have done that this turn. I did not play around Spell Pierce or Flusterstorm, which I could have done by playing my land. Hope that doesn't punish me. Oh, hello, High Tide. I'm gonna top with the High Tide second and Brainstorm in my hand, because I can pitch Brainstorm pretty comfortably to Force of Will if I need to, and then I have Flusterstorm, Force to protect my combo next turn. Or I could just take my time and keep hitting land drops against this deck that's just relaxing over there. I'm not going to fight over an Uro. That's not the game. The High Tide deck is extremely good against Dirtily Blue. One thing you do have to watch out for, though, is that their lands are also islands, and High Tide is all islands, not your islands. Okay, if I High Tide, the second island can Merchant Scroll for Turnabout, then the last 2 islands can Turnabout, but I'm not playing around. I'm not leaving up mana for my Flusterstorm if I do that. I should have Brainstormed and played the Prismatic Vista. Alright, I'm going to Brainstorm. I blew it on Prismatic Vista, but it's not a huge deal. I can Preordain the cards away, or I can Merchant Scroll for Turnabout right now. That's also a shuffle. So if I put back Vista, and do I want the second Spiral in case I lose the Counter War, or do I want the Preordain to help smooth out? I'm going to get rid of the second Spiral, and I'm going to scroll for Turnabout right now. The jig is up. This is what I'm doing. Alright, Turnabout's in my hand. And I'm leaving up mana for Flusterstorm in case I have to win a fight over a Narset or some shit this turn. Not actually sure if Turnabout is better than the second High Tide there. So High Tide, if I High Tide once, I have one floating High Tide again, and then I get 3, 6, 7 mana at the end of the road. High Tide once, and then 2, 4, 6, use 2 of it to untap all of my lands with 2 floating, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Oh yeah, Turnabout's actually way more mana than the second High Tide would be. Right, not going to fight over Expressive Iteration. All of the fighting is going to happen on my turn. All right, they are tapped out of islands right now. They still have their land drop. But if they tap out and I only have to beat Force of Wills, life gets easier. Okay, it's even red mana, which main deck Pyroblast is not unheard of in this economy. Second Flusterstorm's pretty fucked up, though. High Tide. They didn't fight over that, which means they're not likely to win any of the other fights. I think I can sneak a Preordain in here, especially if the fight is over Turnabout. Yeah, I can definitely build Storm with Preordain and maybe find another High Tide. Another Fluster. Bottom. I'm actually going to keep Preordain on top, just as a guaranteed blue card to go with my Force of Will. Turn myself about. Maybe I should have just left that Flusterstorm in my hand, and then I don't need Force of Will. I could just Fluster 3 times. Yeah, I think that could have been played better. Fluster your Force of Will. They pitch Dress down. I don't expect them to pay for all these. It would be pretty tough. Okay, my spell resolved. And then I am gonna Preordain first. If I can find another High Tide before I go, that would be pretty sweet. Bottom, top, ponder, force, scroll. Do I have the mana to scroll? I have 8, 9 mana. I have exactly enough to scroll for another Tide before we pop here. Is that right? Oh wait, no, I'll have more than exactly enough mana because I'll cast the scroll and the High Tide before I tap my lands, so I have lots of mana here. High Tide, Tide, and Spiral. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the exciting thing about these blue decks is that you actually might have 5 lands in play when you start popping, and it's completely nutso. Flusterstorm's in this hand. Merchant Scroll's also in this hand. I'll start there. Or maybe I should start with Brainstorm, because Merchant Scroll shuffles it. I don't need these lands this game. Oh, baby. High Tide. Another one. And the Storm is sufficient here. Scrolling, they can decide what they want to fight over. I don't expect them to be able to beat a Brain Freeze. I can just grab Flusterstorm, protect myself, and go for the lethal freeze. Sounds good to me. And Cunning Wish. Yes, get Brain Freeze. And then I can scroll for another Flusterstorm. Okay, 3 Flusterstorms. Storm is mega lethal. I'll Preordain for a good measure. 2 more High Tides on top of the deck. That's cool. Bottom, top. I am actually going to High Tide again. If this somehow doesn't work, I'll have plenty of mana to Intuition for 3 Time Spirals and just go again. There we go. Giant Brain Freeze for 57 cards. They only have 46. They're brainstorming in response. What are you looking for of this brainstorm? What could possibly be the answer? Uro, Ending. We got to look at their deck on the way out here. EI, Ending, Endurance. Oh, right. They're an Endurance deck. I might have to... Oh, yikes. Yeah, I forgot about Endurance. Did we mill all 3 of them? They're also a Loam deck. So I'm going to have to beat an Endurance. 1, 2. There is an Endurance in their hand. Let's see. Forces. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 Forces of Will, of Negation, 1. Awkward. Okay. It's fine. Is it fine? Is this remotely beatable? Alright, I'll Intuition. Do I do it now? Alright, yeah, I Intuition now with the floating mana. Just get 3 Force of Wills. And then I don't think I can lose. Is Pact No Negation better than Force of Will? I guess I I don't have 3 packs, so I'll just get a Force. All right, yeah, I did forget about Endurance. They had a chance there. All right, now they're scooping. Ooh. All right, should have used my one of my Merchant Scrolls to get Pact of Negation, not Flusterstorm. I didn't need 3 of those. I needed Pact. Okay. Close call. Remember Endurance when I'm comboing off. Important rules. Do I even have a sideboard for this matchup? Like, Dress Down can hit Endurance, but is that really important, or do I just commit to Blue Sun Zenithing them? I suppose they are likely to have sideboard hate cards like Ethersworn Canonist, Meddling Mage, that sort of thing. I like Dress Down. Maybe I like Teferi's Realm also. Because Teferi's Realm naming creature can brick a bunch of stuff, but this does have to sit and play in their Prismatic Ending deck. I want Dress Downs in. The problem is I don't have a lot to cut for the Teferi's Realm. So Pact of Negation, I think, can come out, though that is a tempting thing to have access to with a Merchant Scroll. Intuition might be dangerous if they have, like, are they going to have Surgical Extraction? That's not a card that's usually in Endurance decks because it's mega overkill. But Surgical Extraction does prey on Intuition like crazy. Flusterstorm's great. I could lose the Predict, but this is exactly the kind of matchup Predict is for. Also it's not exactly the kind of matchup Pact is for. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not sure about it, but you don't need a lot of sideboard here. 3 of a kind. I'll keep this in this slow blue mirror. Mystic Sanctuary, go. A classic legacy play. This Predict makes these Brainstorms a lot more exciting. They're going to have Red Blast and stuff. Now, I'm going to hang on to my Brainstorm. I guess I can't actually beat, like, Hull Breacher in this position. I don't know, is that a card they're going to have? Oh god. I've committed to it at this point. Alright, I'm going to Brainstorm in response to them fetching. Force of Will is nice. I can put these lands on top and then also just leave them there. Or I could do, like, Ponder land on top. I can predict away the Ponder next turn and just not shuffle with Scalding Tarn. Burrow, that's not the fight. They do have the benefit of my land is a fetch land, which makes fighting over anything awkward. Like, what I kind of want to do is let them cast a spell, and then I cast a spell in response, and then they fight over that, and I fluster their original spell and their counter spell, but I lose my known predict on that exchange, which is still worth it. But okay, predict in the end step. Ponder's on top. 3 Landos, nice. Brainstorm after making my land drop. Put back a couple of these extra lands. Shuffle. I'm probably going to have to go to discard this turn because every card in my deck is a cantrip. Unless they cast a spell that I have to fight over, I will end up discarding a card this turn. But that's a good problem to have, I guess, all things considered. Predict is just too good. What happens if I keep this pile? I can High Tide and then have 8 mana left to fight with Force and Flusterstorm next turn. Not going to shuffle the library. Then I guess I can Ponder again right now. I'm not using 2 mana, right? It's going to see 2 of the same cards, but it does get 1 more look at more cards, but Brainstorm End Step does a better job of that. Okay, I'm going to just pass the turn and discard one of these lands. Holding up 5 mana like this, I believe deeply in my heart of hearts that they're holding up Force of Will on the hard cast right now. They're also representing Force Negation plus Red Blast. They haven't added to the board, so their hand is all spells. Little Brainstorm in the end step, okay. If they didn't have Force of Will, they would have done that in their main phase. So they definitely have Force. But the fact that they're willing to leave up Hardcast Force makes me wonder if they have a Red Blast also, because tapping out for that card takes away Flusterstorm, Red Blast, all these other things. EI is a strong card. Get their land drop off of that one. They are currently tapped out of Hardcast Force of Will. They have 6 cards in their hand. They have 3 island. Oh, nope. I will open them up into Hardcast Force of Will again. Do I continue developing here? I think so. If I was going to do that, I should have thought about it before I cast that. Crack that fetch, though. Yeah, what's the rush? Another Force and a Preordain. That's all good stuff. I'm going to put the Preordain on top and not shuffle. And I'm going to cast Preordain. Get the Force in my hand. I just want to see more cards off of Brainstorm. So I shuffled away or bottomed the land, even though I do want another land drop. But I think Brainstorm will come up with one. Really wish I hadn't just Autobot clicked my fetch land earlier this turn. Okay, that's a stacked situation. Alright, what do I got to do here? If I dress down in their end step, that's something they have to respond to. And I can tuck this Cunning Wish under the Turnabout. And I end up with all of these cards in my hand. Is the dress down's a cantrip? Well, end step endurance. Yeah, sure. That I don't care about. I'm not going to dress down it. Like, the trigger doesn't matter. They're just trying to put any pressure into play right now. And here comes endurance. Fetching. They might be deploying Uro here if they feel like either their shields are up hard enough or that they need to get this game over with. Either way, it's a good time to Uro. And yep, there he is. I'm not going to dress down the Uro trigger because the 1 extra card isn't going to make or break this game, but them having endurance on my turn when I brain freeze them might make this game. So that doesn't even do what I want because they could just go to their upkeep. All right, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. This whole play that I lined up doesn't make any sense. I love when that happens. Okay, High Tide. Let's get to work. There's Red Blast. Storm is 2. I can fluster this now. It sucks because that constricts future mana on the High Tide. Like, any mana they can make me spend right now is good for them. They don't have 3 mana to pay for this because High Tide hasn't resolved yet. They have another red mana over there. High Tide's in. I'm gonna go for Turnabout first. They're probably hardcasting Force Negation. Okay, and do I Force of Will this? I think I want to Force of Will this because if their last card in hand is a Flusterstorm, I want to be able to Fluster back. Does that even make sense? I think that does make sense. I'm going to force Pitching Force on this. I don't want to pitch the Cunning Wish because I might want to wish for Intuition or something, or might want to Intuition for wishes later. Force of Will was the last card in their hand, or they have 2 cards left. Flusterstorm. If they sat on a Flusterstorm this long, they're going to get me and they deserve it. They have 1 blue in the pool, 2 cards in their hand. If this Turnabout resolves, I will be able to protect my Time Spiral with Cunning Wish. They had a Brainstorm with their last mana, so they're not going to have Fluster. They could find a Force here. Oh, they didn't. Okay. Land. Untap them. 11 mana. I'm just going to Spiral. I'm not going to Wish first. Oh, 2 more Spirals. And I do still have a land drop to make this turn. High Tide. Use my floating mana on that one. Ponder. I'd like to find some additional protection, though having double Spiral is pretty sick to that regard. Flusterstorm. Yup. Don't shuffle that. But Island into play. I'm going to scroll for another Tide. Just keep this party going. Having double Spiral plus Fluster in hand, I'm going to get another 7 cards here. I can even Cunning Wish for another counterspell. Mana is basically infinite at this point. High Tide. I could Cunning Wish now. What would I get? I could wish... How much mana do I actually have? 24 mana. That's a lot. Is there something to wish for now that actually makes sense? I could wish for Turnabout, just make more mana. If I boarded out Intuition, I could get that. What does that do? I could get the Zenith into the mix. Alright, I'm going to Cunning Wish. Yes, let's get... I could get Turnabout or Blue Sun Zenith. Those are the options. Turnabout would give me fuck zillions of mana, but Blue Sun Zenith does so much. 1, 2, 3. I need to leave 13 mana in the pool. Whoops, I left 12 in the pool. The 13 mana is to cast both Time Spirals and protect with Flusterstorm. I don't know if all that is necessary, but I'm going for it. Leaving 13 mana in the pool is a pretty specific number, and I even like clicked too far and had to reset it. Ooh, that's hot. Force of Negation is dangerous. Like, I don't really care about Force of Will, but having my Zenith exiled means I have to Brain Freeze them, which means I have to play into a possible Endurance. I'm also at 8 minutes on my clock, so I gotta make sure I do this quickly. 5 fresh ones, including a Turnabout. Yes, please. Land, untap them, Brainstorm, put back some lands, scroll, or High Tide, load all my mana, Turnabout. I should probably Brainstorm first, but I'm just playing quickly. I'm not convinced this matters a whole lot. Okay, another Dress Down and Preordain. I can put these back. I actively don't want Dress Down in play, actually, because I want it in my hand at the end. Okay, opponent's seen enough. GG's. On to the next one, 2-0. We're about halfway through the video, so let me just remind you that if you like this deck and you want to try it out, you can use the code BoshNRoll to support the channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com, and you can play any deck anytime with cardhoarder.com loan account on Magic Online. These links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. I am on the play in round number 3. I am going to keep this hand. It's got the Spiral. I can scroll for Tide. I have interaction with Fluster and Brainstorm, or Enforce. I like it. My opponent messaged me after the last match and asked if playing the Uro was wrong, but I think it was right. I would have gone for it there too. They had Red Blast and Force of Will in hand, and if I don't go off right away through their double counter, I'm just in all sorts of trouble. So I liked the play. It just didn't work out in that one spot. I just had double counter beat. I'm gonna scroll for High Tide here to use my mana. It gives away what I'm up to. Like, there is no longer any doubt what I'm doing over here, but I think it's fine. Getting the Tide in hand is important. That was a really good land to find as well. I'm gonna Brainstorm now. I would like another land or piece of protection to go off with next turn. Okay, I can put back land, High Tide. I don't want to shuffle away a High Tide though. So put back land. Do I need 2 tides? I'm trying to think of what this game actually looks like. Maybe this Brainstorm wasn't a good one. But I get to Tide, Spiral next turn with Force Fluster back up. Is that true? So the first Tide costs 1 land, and then I have 1 floating for the second Tide, and then 3, 6, 7. Yeah, okay. So I can do that if I have all these cards available to me, which means I want to put Cunning Wish away with the Brainstorm, because that's not something I want to pitch with Force of Will. Okay. I'm going to keep the Preordain for Force. I'm going to draw the land next turn, shuffle away Cunning Wish, and then I can Tide, Spiral with Force Fluster back up. Expressive Iteration from the opponent. Prismatic Ending exiled, so they just cast themselves. Little Anticipate. Known Legacy staple, Anticipate. Okay, go time. They have 6 cards in hand. See how we do. High Tide. Tide with 1 floating. 3, 6, 7. Time Spiral. Off we go. See how many counterspells they have. This Volcanic Island will tap for 3 if they wanted to. So Brainstorm. That's not the fight. Alright, didn't need it. 1, 2, 3, 4 lands untapped. This is kind of awkward. If Preordain doesn't get there, I'm screwed. Predict Island. Top. So there's Island on top of my deck. I'm going to go into combat to lose their floating mana, because I'm good on mine. Going into second main, and then I can predict this Island off the top of my deck and hope for the best. Not often you get to pass a phase with mana floating in this deck. A Merchant Scroll. Scroll can get Intuition, which can spiral again, and I have Force backup, and I have enough mana to do all that. The 4th Tide should really shut this down. I have 1 Force of Will. I guess I could do the math on hard casting. Untap the lands, and then Merchant Scroll. Scroll gets, just to make sure, I do have 3 spirals left. Scroll gets Intuition. Intuition gets the 3 spirals. And I can easily hardcast my forces here. 3 spirals are the Intuition pile, prize. And float all of my mana, cast Time Spiral with double Force backup. Predict is bonkers. Love that card. Force of Will. Hardcast Force of Will on their Force of Will. And we're spiraling again. 8 mana in the pool. Start with a High Tide. I can brainstorm these lands away and then use Merchant Scroll to shuffle. Turnabout, fucked up. Cunning Wish, are you lethal yet? I have to respect Endurance off of Cunning Wish. What can I do to beat Endurance? I have 2 Cunning Wishes. I can Merchant Scroll for Pact of Negation, Cunning Wish for Pact of Negation, Cunning Wish for Brainstorm, or Brain Freeze. And then have Force of Will. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, Merchant Scroll. Get Pact of Negation. And then turn myself about. Then Cunning Wish. Use the ability, yes. Get Brain Freeze. And Cunning Wish. Use the ability, yes. Get Pact of Negation. Alright, they're conceding the game. All right, once Endurance is on the radar, it's actually pretty easy to beat. The Pact of Negations are sick. Nice. The Dress Downs are coming in again. I think I cut Pact and Intuition last time. I don't hate that. There's probably a right answer here, but this looks close enough to the right answer that I'm in for it. Merchant Scroll for Pact of Negation when you're ready to go off is a sick one, though. But I don't really want to draw the card at any point leading up to that. Yeah, this looks like a deck I can submit. I'm in. High Tide, a bunch of card advantage in selection. This is a keeper. All of this, like this matchup depends entirely on what kind of hate they can present. If they're just trying to beat me with counterspells, they're going to lose. But if they are able to play like Ethersworn Canonist and All Breacher and that sort of shit, while I was talking, I preordained into the entire combo. Just have High Tide, Turnabout, Spiral. All locked up. Just need to find some protection. I can scroll this turn for Flusterstorm. Begin the protection game. Carpet. That's going to generate some mana. Woof. Yeah, that's a good one. Turns out every single one of my lands is that. Okay. I can ponder and try to slow down this carpet for a turn, but I think that scrolling for a protection spell is better. Scroll up a Flusterstorm here, or do I get Force of Will? I think I like Fluster better. If they ramp out like Hull Breacher or whatever this turn, good job, I'm dead. I didn't really sideboard for that. Monastery Mentor, oh, respect. I don't mind dying to Monastery Mentor. all things being equal. I'm gonna set up Predict here rather than Brainstorm. I'm going to ponder now and then predict on their turn. Do I want these cards is the question. I could just take Merchant Scroll and jam it. I think I want to put Merchant Scroll in my hand and then predict naming Ponder. Because what I need here is a land more than most other things. And I have to do it on their turn so I don't go to discard. I'm not in a hurry to like do it on their upkeep, because if they fight over it pre-combat, they get an extra point of damage off Mentor. Burrow, okay. Burrow's in the graveyard now. Oh god, they didn't put a land into play. That means their hand is 5 spells. Alright, I'm gonna need some help going off here. They still didn't play a land. Their hand is 6 spells right now. Predict, naming Ponder. Looking for Force of Will, land off of this. Got the land. Found Force of Will, land off of this. That is what I asked for. Hard to complain. High Tide. This is not getting better. I'm going for it. High Tide. Turnabout. Let's try to get my mana advantage up here. Land, untap them. Merchant Scroll. I'm going to go for another Flusterstorm here if they let this resolve. And if they don't, then that's one less counterspell anyway. Okay, Flusterstorm now. Turn myself about again. Just building Storm and mana. Untap all of those, and then going in on this Time Spiral. We know their hand is 6 spells. Can they cast 4 of them? Because I can beat 3 things right now. Force of Negation. Their mentors are gonna ride. Leading on Force of Negation is fucking weird. Like, I for sure expected a Pyroblast. They've left up red mana this entire game. Oh, let's fluster the Force of Negation. God, I hope they don't fluster my Time Spiral, because if I have to fluster a fluster when Storm is 9, life is pain. Okay, I'm gonna force now. I'm gonna save my fluster in case they have their own. Force pitching Brainstorm. My last card in hand is Flusterstorm. I think they know that from an earlier Merchant Scroll. 2 cards left over there. I don't think there's any 2 cards it could be, because I can beat any 1-card thing, and any 2-card thing would require 2 cards. Alright, yeah. Oh, Mindbreak Trap. JK. That was a good one. So if their last card is Flusterstorm or Red Blast, I was not ready for a 0 mana spell that wasn't a 1 for 2. Okay, here we are. This is the whole game. We know it's a spell. Moment of Truth. What you got for me? Nothing. Alright, cool. Okay, untap my lands, and this one actually does need some help, but I have a lot to work with here. Okay, there's that. Bottom, top, and then Preordain again. Just looking for more protection. Ponder, Predict. Is Predict good here? Top, Predict, name Ponder. The 2 lands are not the most helpful. I am only on 1 Time Spiral, or 1 High Tide. I should Brainstorm first, I think. I found Force and another Tide, that's all good. The second Tide, and then I'm gonna go for Turnabout with, alright, yeah. Alright, I'm gonna Turnabout. I have Force Fluster, I'm not gonna cast this Preordain. Force back, pitching, Preordain. Surgical, my Force of Wills, okay. I'm out of those. Go for it. They do have Surgical, that's important to note. Good thing I boarded out Intuition. That's going to make beating the spirals tougher. I have to do it just on the back of Flusterstorm. They know for sure right now if they can win this counter war or not. And I'm dead to the Mentor if they get another turn. Uh-oh, that's not great. Cunning Wish. Brainstorming in response, okay. Oh, they just conceded. I thought I had more work to do, but they were done. I guess they don't know that I have 5 lands in my hand. Alright, GG's 3-0, on to the next one. I'm on the play. I think 4 for 4 on die rolls. Not bad. I'm going to mulligan this no lander. I'm going to keep this speculative one. I'm going to send one of the basics to the bottom. I can pretend I'm a different deck for a little while by playing fetch lands like a normal person. The cool thing about this deck is there's a few smoking guns, like obviously the Merchant Scroll, if you ever cast that, the jig is up. But in general, you can spend your first few turns making maybe like the 3rd basic island, give something away. But you can spend your first 2 or 3 turns just pretending you're a normal deck. Maybe even bluffing that you're a control deck and your opponent might brainstorm away Swords to Plowshares or something. Ooh, are we playing against Doomsday? Doomsday is a deck that's notoriously not very good against Brain Freeze. And also, I have Flusterstorm in my hand. A pretty good one. Alright, I'm gonna fight over this. I don't want them to see what I have. So let's just take it away. Main deck Flusterstorm is a beating, though, in combo mirrors. It's pretty exciting. I need a Brainstorm right now. Like, for real, deck. Make it happen. That's not the Brainstorm I was looking for. Just gonna play another fetch land. Fetching Watery Grave. Okay, so they're on the straight to mirror version. There's Grixis and Esper and straight to mirror versions of Doomsday, and we are, it seems, playing against the version with Watery Grave. Ponder can resolve. This would be a disappointing one to lose because our hand is mediocre, because I feel like of all of the combo decks, High Tide is probably among the best suited to the combo mirror against Doomsday. They did not shuffle with their Ponder. There's probably a Doomsday going on the stack right now. I guess I forced this. Not happy about it though. Revealing Time Spiral. The jig is up. They know exactly what I'm doing. They can't daze me. They can force back. So if this gets countered, I'll feel okay for a little while. Ooh, it resolved. My force did. I mean, not the Doomsday. So they either can't fight about it, think fighting over it is a bad idea, or have a second Doomsday. Turnabouting them on their Doomsday turn could be a line to victory. They had a second Doomsday. Sure, resolves. Like if I can weird up their... anything I can do to weird up their pile is a good thing. So I think I would prefer to just draw Cunning Wish here. And then I can wish for Brain Freeze. I do have 5 mana now to do that. And then their deck is gone. Take a look at these exiled cards. Starting with Force of Wills. 1, 2... well, they put 2 Force of Wills in the pile, or there's one in their hand already. That's more likely. Lotus Petal, Lotus Petal, Lotus Petal. Lion's Eye Diamonds in the pile. So they're on an Ideas Unbound pile. I'm going to fetch once to just get one less land in the deck. Come on. Okay, I guess I'll Turnabout them in their upkeep. Let's try to Time Walk them. If they just force this, they win. Yeah, there's the force. Okay. Damn. I feel like this one was pretty winnable, and the deck just gave me lands instead of a Brainstorm. Yeah, Ideas Unbound, and then here are your things. Main deck Cavern, good to know. Okay, fine. I believe you. You don't need to show me the Oracle. My next card was Brainstorm, which found Cunning Wish, Pact of Negation, Turnabout. Yeah, we were one turn away, or like one cooperative deck decision away from winning that one. All right, Force of Negation, I believe, comes in and Dress Down. You can Dress Down the Oracle. And the rest of these cards I don't think are that good. Pact of Negation's interesting because normally... no, I'm not going to Pact of Negation. That's not where I want to be here. Flusterstorm's excellent. Predict is a little slow. I feel like Intuition's also slow. And the rest of these cards are just the deck and interaction. I'm in. Okay, let's do this. Get that Heartbreaker out of the way. I'll win the other two. Another no-lander. It does have multiple forces, but that's not what I'm in the business of. Okay, here is a much better hand in general. I'm going to keep and send Turnabout to the bottom. I just don't think that proactively comboing is necessarily my role in this matchup. You know, I want to have an eye towards it, but they're a faster combo deck than me. I'm just a more interactive combo deck than them. Get a Ponder in. I don't think I want Merchant Scroll. I could draw Merchant Scroll, pitch it to Force of Negation. No, I'm going to shuffle this. Yeah, I'd rather have a random card than Merchant Scroll and guaranteed next land. Dress Down is one of the better cards you could have ever against Doomsday. Duress is a beating. I think I have to let this resolve. I can't let them take 2 cards. And I do have 2 things that interact with their combo here. Took Force, okay. Hello? Ponder. They don't need to know about this Flusterstorm yet. Or this Force of Will. Okay. They took Force of Negation. They saw 2 answers, and I suddenly have 3. I can't Dress Down this turn, but I can Fluster a Doomsday this turn. Dark Ritual, okay. Stay. Fluster. Was a good draw. They can't Daze this, they can't Force this. They could Fluster back. If they Fluster back, I'll have Doomsday with Force back up next turn. Okay, Doomsday's just in the graveyard. I like that. Like it a lot. Here is the land that we were promised. Brainstorm, end step out of them. It's interesting they duressed me on turn 1. They could have waited till turn 2 and then duress, writ, Doomsday all at once, but I guess, yeah, maybe that's not that great. Because if they clear me on turn 1 and then can actually like win with an extra mana on turn 2, that's probably a reasonable line to take. Right, they're deep analysising. That's pretty sweet. Just consider it into the graveyard and then draw 2 cards with it. Awesome line. I'm gonna fetch. I vaguely remember not wanting the next card down, though I don't remember what it is. Okay. We're continuing our not interested in losing the game streak here by drawing more interaction. Oh, they're fetching a 4th land. If they play Jace the Mind Sculptor, I quit Magic. Doomsday. Okay. I'm gonna cast my Force of Negation. They could daze this. I still have my Force of Will they don't know about. They had a Force of Will pitching Consider. If they had daze, they would have cast it here. Alright, I'm gonna Force of Will back, keeping Dress Down in my hand. They're brainstorming in response. They could find daze off of this, but they did have the brainstorm, so my read that they had the win with an extra mana was accurate. Doomsday with 1 extra mana for brainstorm is a win. Do I play this land? I don't think so. Okay. Now the dust is settled, and it's up to our decks to see who is gonna rebuild better. Their rebuild involves a single card, which is better than mine, but yeah, I think that's just a massive favor. I was about to say, but the silver lining is, but I don't know that there is one. The silver lining is they only have 2 copies of the card left in their deck. They did not shuffle that Ponder, though. Preordain, find me Flusterstorm, please. Brainstorm, Time Spiral. I am not in the market for Time Spiral, regrettably. I'm going to sit on the Brainstorm for now. Like, if I can hide my important card, that's a good thing. Doomsday, huh? Okay, it resolves, I guess. I'm not going to Brainstorm to fight over this. I have this Dress Down that can buy me a little bit of time. They can make a pile that beats Dress Down, but Dress Down will at least buy me a turn here. I don't think they're going to be able to go off right now. Like, if their hand is a cantrip, that means that the hand isn't force and blue card, because they'd have to cast the cantrip, go down to 1 in hand, then they can't force. If it's Pact of Negation, they can win right now. Basically, if they cast any other spell this turn, I have to Dress Down in response to it. Because once they draw any cards, they'll be able to have the Pact back up with everything. They could make a mega slow pile and just set up, like, a turn where they go, like, Duress, force back up, Oracle 3 turns from now. I wonder if that makes sense. I mean, Dress Down beats Cavern, so they can't count on Cavern to win the game for them. What's in exile? 1, 2, 3, 4 Force of Wills. There's a Pact of Negation in exile, but they probably have more than 1. They probably have 2 Oracles. The Cavern's in there somewhere. Duress, Thoughtseize. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 Dazes, 4 Forces all present here. They might have double Oracle. I'm going to Brainstorm on my turn. Definitely don't want High Tide here. Yikes. Alright, put back these 2. Fetch. Preordain, looking for some protection. Okay, that's really interesting. Does Merchant Scroll help me? So how do I play around discard here? I don't think that I can. I just have to let the discard spell resolve, I guess. Yeah, I'm missing 4 mana here. Sucks. 1, 2, Merchant Scroll. The Brain Freeze isn't in my main deck, regrettably. I'm a mana short of scrolling for Turnabout and Time Walking them. Okay, I guess I'll bottom the scroll. My hand is just 2 Dress Downs. Let's go. I don't think I want to let them draw. Brainstorm. I could Dress Down now. Yeah, I'm just going to Dress Down now. It'll be in play for their turn. Flusterstorm, please. Flusterstorm. Alright, that's a land. Okay, so they have to remove a physical permanent from play, which blue-black isn't great at doing. And hopefully they won't plan for the second Dress Down. But if they do just discard spell me here, then I'm in trouble. Yeah, it sucks that there was no way to hide the second Dress Down there, because even if I put it second from the top, drew the Merchant Scroll, the first Dress Down would draw the second. Yeah, there's a Duress. Fuck. Now the coast is basically completely clear next turn. Maybe not playing it was the play. Yeah, now I'm dead. Fuck my life. This was a sick combo battle, though. Oh, yeah, they are just on slow pile. They're just going to Cavern Oracle next turn. Please draw Cunning Wish, Cunning Wish, Cunning Wish. All right, well, there's Force of Will. That is the card they were worried about last turn. But now they can Cavern Oracle. Let's hope they go all the way empty and just don't go for it here. Okay. They seem to be passing the turn. Come on, deck, help me out. Give me a Brainstorm or a Cunning Wish. Fuck! Ah, my life is pain. That's a lot of lands to draw here. Like, this was such a thin margin. And now they just Cavern Oracle. Their hand probably has 2 Oracles in it. Yeah. Gotcha. Dead. Yeah, I drew a lot of lands there. There was a Merchant Scroll. Like, Merchant Scroll, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Merchant Scroll for Cunning Wish for... I assume their hand can counter a spell, but their forces are all gone. Their dazes are all gone. If they Pact of Negation on my turn, they have to spend a turn paying on theirs. Yeah, I mean, there were definitely draws there that were better than lands. Spent a lot of that game pretty land flooded. Though, maybe... I think, okay, I'm willing to believe that where I messed up was, in perfect hindsight, if I had just put the 2 dress downs in my hand off of that Preordain and put Merchant Scroll underneath it, then they duress me, take a dress down, I still have 1 in hand. And then I draw Merchant Scroll on the next turn, and I can scroll for a Wish, holding up dress down, and then on the next turn, Wish for freeze and kill them. I guess that was a line that exists. I don't know. Like, if there's any counterspell in their pile, like if there is a Pact of Negation in their pile, or a Force of Negation, Pact of Negation's not good enough. I don't know. That's tricky. I feel like that one was winnable. All right, next round. I've completed the 5 for 5 on die rolls. I think my video I released yesterday, my most recent video, I was 0 for 5 on die rolls, so we evened out. We are playing for 4-1. The positive record was locked after 3-0. We're playing against a Yorion deck, which is usually Death and Taxes, which makes me feel like I want to dumpster a little harder than this. But this is some sculpting, and Death and Taxes, controlling your mana, is usually how they beat combo decks. No, that's not true. Spirit of the Labyrinth is how they beat combo decks. All right, I gotta prioritize. Like, this deck doesn't really go fast. It's not like I can mulligan to like a Lion's Eye Diamond Echo of Eon's hand and just go to town against the Yorion deck. I need at least 3 lands in play to combo, and they're gonna be able to do stuff in between. But hitting land drops, getting ahead of Rishadan Port is nice. Thalia is kind of troublesome, but Spirit of the Labyrinth is the really horrific one. I'm gonna start on Preordain. I can shuffle with Ponder next turn, get the max value. Preordain comes with value built in. There's a chance they're like a Lurin or just some other random shit, but Yorion is usually Death and Taxes. Pact of Negation and Island are not what I want against Death and Taxes. All right, bottomed both, drew another Island. That's a really bad start. I really needed that Preordain to convert into a playable card. D&T confirmed. Drew another land. Perfect. I think we're going to lose a game 1 to Death and Taxes here. It's going to be really hard if they have anything at all to follow this up. I will take one of these spirals. I'm going to need it eventually. Is Mother of Runes plus Spirit of Labyrinth a hard lock? It's very close. I think it is a hard lock, actually. Thalia sucks, but is at least a little bit beatable. All my answers, like my dress downs and stuff, are in the sideboard. You know what I really don't want to do? Force of Will pitching my Time Spiral, but at least I have an answer to Spirit of the Lab at this point, even though it puts me to functionally hellbent. Thalia is in for her Pound of Flesh. Another Wasteland, got him. Come on. Ah. What's it like to play an 80-card deck and have all the perfect cards? I drew goddamn Flusterstorm. Okay. All right, shake it off, shake it off. The good news is this Thalia is a joke because I have 7 lands. The bad news is they started tapping mana again last turn. Stoneforge Mystic. All right, they get to get Cauldra here and really speed up the clock. I need a Brainstorm, like, immediately. I gotta turn these cards into gas. Predict. I guess I can predict myself naming Island. Hope I hit. I can predict them naming Plains. Who has more? I guess I'll target them and name Plains. I milled a Spirit of the Labyrinth. I'm a genius. Get out of here. Okay. Cauldra is gonna get in for at least 7, maybe 8 this turn. Oh, they didn't put in Cauldra? What's going on over there? Did they draw Spirit of the Lab? Like, that card is in there. They're attacking with their Stoneforge. They must have drawn a Spirit of the Labyrinth. That's the only thing that's better than just putting me on a 2-turn clock here. Recruiter 4 Spirit. Okay. I mean, that's the same clock as putting Cauldra into play. So, okay. I'm going to crack all of my fetch lands. I can't win next turn anyway. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I fetch, I'm dead on board. Okay, whatever. I'm going to draw. Time Spiral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No! Merchant Scroll costs 3. And the High Tide costs 2. 1 mana short of casting Time Spiral the hard way, which would get rid of their Cauldra Complete and their Spirit. Kind of funny. Merchant Scroll. I can get Turnabout and tap their lands for a turn. No, I can't, because I only have 3 mana. I just can't do anything. Alright. Yeah, we're dead. Whatever. I kept a 5-lander, and then bottom, preordain, draw land, draw step, draw land, ponder, shuffle, find land. Or the ponder got Time Spiral and then drew Flusterstorm. Yeah, that was a complete fucking disaster. Okay, sideboard time. Dress down, Teferi's Realm, Teferi's Realm. Do I bring in Snap? Do I bring 1 in and leave 1 bounce spell in and bring 1 in the board? I probably want Echoing Truth in the board. Because Snap is a more generic thing. I can draw whenever and it'll usually have a target. Echoing Truth hits specifically Deafening Silence. I think Intuition's too slow. Flusterstorm is bad. That lines up pretty well. Pact Intuition for these permanent hate things. Okay, here we go. I don't want to lose my 4-1 to fucking Death and Taxes. Let's go. Well, that's a no-lander. All again. That has some lands in it. I'll keep. I'm going to send one of the lands to the bottom. Probably... Yeah, I'll send Flooded Strand to the bottom. I have Force of Will for their first thing. I need to make some room. Like, that buys me the space I'm looking for. Okay. Top these. I can scroll for Tide next turn. I have Turnabout in hand. I'm just setting up to find a Vial. I'm not going to fight over Vial. Scroll for Tide. And I'm locked up here if I draw a Time Spiral. This Vial gets to 2, life gets hard, but I don't think that's where the Force of Will goes. Because if I force the Vial, scared of what it might put in, then they just cast the thing that they would have put in. And this at least gives me 1 turn to operate. I guess that's not even really true, because they have Rashad Port. If I knew I was drawing Time Spiral, or I had it in my hand, I could High Tide right now. Should I High Tide right now? What does Merchant Scroll do if I High Tide right now? Because I can High Tide, then have 4 mana, Turnabout, have 6 mana, and then Merchant Scroll for something. I don't think that line is there. Oh, this is going to get ugly. Predict. I can Merchant Scroll for Snap right now. That will buy me some space. Or I could predict. Just going to predict them naming planes. Got rid of a mother. Yeah, Scroll can find Snap whenever without drawing cards. At this point, I have to worry about them vialing in a Spirit in response to things. It's kind of insane how quickly the door closes against these Yorion lists. You can tap my thing. Cunning Wish. Are you good? You get Echoing Truth. Okay, I'm going to... Actually, getting Snap at this point doesn't even matter. Because They can just leave Vial on 2 and pick up their thing I just snapped. Yuck. I can do this, though. I can crack my fetch land. What's in here? Dress down, brainstorm. I guess dress down is the key to winning this game. So I'm going to merchant scroll for a brainstorm. Guess we'll see what they vial in. If I can merchant scroll for brainstorm here, I don't think I need a second tide. I'm going to get brainstorm. And then if they hesitate on vialing because they see the brainstorm, if they get greedy, I'll punish. If they tap vial, I'll brainstorm in response. Predict and brainstorm. Okay. I'm going to put brainstorm predict here. I should have put the land on top because now I can't force a will. Thalia, okay. There's a brainstorm on top of my deck. Stoneforge Mystic. I can't force a will that, so I won't. We got Cauldra. I'm going to let them port me one more time, and I'm going to have to go for it next turn. I've drawn Predict. If they activate their Vial, I'll predict in response, get my last draws for the game in. Okay, activating Vial on 1 with nothing in it. That's fine. Getting Vial on 2, predict, name Brainstorm. Drew Snap and Force a Will. Okay. Snap is not the worst card I've ever seen. They did have Spirit. Alright, they weren't lying. That Vial on 2 is a problem. I hope they take it up. Well, they have the other one. They're going to have a Vial on 2 one way or the other. Wasteland, okay. That's not going to find a target. Uh-oh. Guess I'll fetch in response. I don't expect like Aven Mind Sensor, but I'm going to make sure I play around it if they do. It's probably Recruiter for like a backup spirit. And they're attacking me for 10 this turn also. Jeez. Sanctum Prelate, shit. Alright, well, I'm going to force that. Pitching the other force. That's as good as that's going to get. And if they Cauldron complete, they lose their Rashadan port. Bummer. It looks like they know it's important here. Yeah. Okay, deck. Help me out. It's time to deliver. Basically need Dress Down off the top. Okay, they Rashadan port me. I High Tide in response. And it's go time. Good draw, good draw. Dress Down. Is land good? Cunning Wish can get Echoing Truth, which can bounce the vials, which then I can snap, but then I'm out of juice. Can I just... No, they're a Yorion deck. I was about to say, can I just mill them out? But obviously not. What are my choices here? There are not many. I could pass the turn, snap their Ultra Complete. Maybe I should have settled in on that and just waited a turn on the High Tide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, maybe that's better, but giving them any turn for any reason sucks. And I can't wish for Zenith and try to keep going because they have... Alright, whatever. I can't Turnabout on their turn because of Thalia. Here's a land. Turn myself about. Oh, this Vial. They just have me checkmated so hard. I will continue searching for the answer, though. That I'm sure doesn't exist. Intuition. What does Intuition do? Cunning Wish for Intuition is an 8-mana line. It sucks that Intuition is instant and not card with flash. If I could wish for my Dress Down, that would be so much easier. I guess I can Cunning Wish for Turnabout and just wait a turn, but then I die next turn. Like, drawing Dress Down doesn't even help at that point. I mean, I guess that is the play, even though it sucks. I'll grab this other Turnabout. Pass the turn with exactly enough mana to cast it. I guess the line is draw Dress Down, cantrip into something that plays, but there's not much that plays here. Creatures, tap them. Alright, Jack, This feels so bad. God, Death and Taxes sucks ass. Alright, we're dead. I've seen enough. Yeah, that was pretty rough. Dress Down wins that game, but not much else does. Spirit of the Labyrinth is some bullshit, and the Vial on 2 protecting it from the bounce spell, that was tough. We just didn't come out fast enough, and I'm 24 cards into my deck and didn't find a dress down, like, and there's 2 of them, so just didn't find one in a reasonable time frame. We put up the 3-2. It's a positive record. I'm disappointed. I think we could have 4-1'd this league. That Doomsday matchup will haunt me. I feel like we just got spanked in the Death and Taxes one. I'm not sure what I could have done differently. Maybe mulligan the hand in game 1, the 5-lander, but finding lands off of my next 2 cantrips and draw steps was not predictable. I think keeping hands with a bunch of lands is usually good against Death and Taxes. I don't know. That Doomsday matchup was a squeaker as well. That one was also kind of like one more cantrip in either of the games where I drew a few too many lands would have just totally changed the situation. But really close. One of the losses was close. The Death and Taxes one was actually not close, unless you want to count like drawing dress down as an out to be like close, which is kind of a generous definition of close. But that's how it goes sometimes. This deck felt pretty awesome. We just absolutely spanked the fair blue decks we played against. We lost a close one to a combo, got shut out by potent hate cards out of Death and Taxes. This is sort of a one-trick pony, and the trick is draw lots of cards. And if your opponent isn't letting you do that, cards like Spirit of Labyrinth, like we saw, Narset, Iwouldlike, that Hull Breacher, those sort of things are just going to be your absolute worst nightmare. And we did run into one of them. We ran into an opponent with multiple copies of them, in fact. And that, you're just not going to beat that. As far as I can tell, you are actually just ice cold game 1 to mom into Spirit, assuming the Spirit resolves. Because you don't have Realm or Dress Down. Oh, right, I had Teferi's Realm in my deck that game as well. That last game against Death and Taxes, I was 24 cards into my deck without seeing a 4 of. Like, 4 relevant cards. Now I'm salty. Medium salty. Friendly salty. It's a Moto League, who cares? But yeah, I had a ton of card selection, a ton of options there, just didn't find them in time and died for it. This deck is sweet. Marcus has put a ton of work into it. All the card choices felt right. Even like the 1 of Intuition, which seems kind of wonky. 3 Cunning Wish. Like, there's a couple of weird numbers here, but they felt right. I liked it. Predict felt fun to predict. I've missed casting that card. That's been basically completely invalidated by expressive iteration in the decks I used to play Predict in. But it makes sense here because you're mono blue. Predict came in clutch a few times. This deck was a lot of fun. I don't know what else to add to this. Marcus streams on Twitch. He has Twitch VODs up. He has a lot of content with this deck. This is his deck. It's his baby. Got a bunch of high-level finishes with it recently. If you want to see more with this and see it played more perfectly than I did, go check it out. That's me signing off for the day. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.